You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Welcome, everybody, to Everyday Practices with your hosts, Chad Johnson, that's me, and Vicki McManus-Peterson.
And today we are here with one of the original PDA alumni, Dr. Kent Smith. And,
that's right.
oh my gosh, Kent. Now, you were actually the very first person in Texas to be awarded dental sleep medicine faculty accreditation, which is huge. So we're going to take a deep dive into sleep medicine today. You also have a medical billing company. I know a lot of our listeners struggle with that. But first of all, I want to introduce everybody to you as just one of the great guys in the world. I remember meeting you, and your daughters were still in high school, I think, and you were doing your financial planning for their weddings, and they weren't even engaged.
Yep, that's right. And one just got married 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And then a week after that, her twin got engaged. So that'll be, all four of them will be officially married next summer.
That's crazy. Now, did you stick to your guns? I've got to figure out there, like you were like, I've got X number of dollars. I told them that this is my budget. And you're gonna
Yep. Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
They all four daughters signed a contract starting high school.
Ooh. I need to take
notes. I have an
notes.
accounting background, so that came naturally to me. And I know how girls tend to compare, and I knew that would not work out long term. And so if I gave the same exact thing to each daughter because there were 10 years difference between the four daughters.
Didn't I would not know, like, inherit your accounting background and go, Dad, the time value of money, you've got to give me a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I get hit with that, but I don't budge. I don't budge. Yeah.
Basically, daughter number 4 needs to get married a lot quicker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Time's ticking.
Well, Chad has 2 daughters and a son, so I want him to learn early because you are.
That's what I was thinking.
You have such foresight, and you do have that strong accounting background, and you're a dentist, and you're a great guy, and you've created more companies, successful companies, than anybody I know of in this industry. So it's a blessing to have you here today.
Say, Vicki, do you mind if I were to bore Dr. Kent by reading his bio that was, that we need to let the listeners kind of know his background?
Sure.
Okay. So Dr. Kent Smith is a diplomate of the American Board of Dental Sleep Medicine and American Sleep and Breathing Academy, and is the president of the American Sleep and Breathing Academy. In 2007, he was asked to start a sleep curriculum at the Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies. And in 2012, he was the first in Texas to be awarded, as you said, the Dental Sleep Medicine Faculty Accreditation. In 2013, he was asked to host a weekly radio show on sleep disorders called Pillow Talk, which ran for about 5 years. He started a medical billing company in 2014 that now serves over 400 doctors, and he runs 2 sleep practices in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and has been speaking on many topics related to sleep, both nationally and internationally, for the last 15 years. So formally, Dr. Kent Smith, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Max, whoever wrote that did a good job.
That's great. I saw a lot of your name popping up over the last few years, so it's kind of cool to finally get to talk to you on CyrecDoctors.com. There's kind of a cult following of you whenever someone says, I wish I could get into sleep medicine more and stuff like that. Does anyone have any suggestions? And people say, I've either been there or I haven't been there, but I've heard of people raving for it. So even people that haven't gone, would come on. I don't know if you're on that or if you've seen that, but there's a long list of people over the years that have, shouted your praises. So congratulations on impressing the dentists that I know nationally that are into CEREC, and they're sure loving what you're teaching. They use the word inspirational. So you're impressive.
Well, I appreciate that, Chad. Yeah, I'm not on. I don't own a CIREC. I'm never, certainly not on that forum. But it's nice to hear that kind of things are being said. So I'm glad you're leaving out the derogatory things. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I cut out all those. Whatever. So you were saying earlier that you focus solely on sleep medicine, and can you tell us more about how your practice goes?
Yeah, with the two different practices, I have 6 sleep assistants, and so we're seeing, in both practices 5 days a week. I actually, at one point, Bruce Baird convinced me to go down to 3 days. I never got down to 1 day like he did, but I got down to 3 days. But that's back when I was doing some dentistry. And when I stopped doing dentistry and started focusing on sleep, I enjoyed it so much. It wasn't a drag coming in. I didn't have to hurt people. People wanted to see me. So it became very easy to get up and go to work in the morning. So I went back to 5 days a week when I'm not traveling and lecturing and things. So 5 days a week in both offices. Well, I obviously can't be in 2 offices at one time. So in the area of sleep, because it's medicine and not dentistry, my assistants can do the majority of the work. I do meet every patient, but the way we have it coordinated, it's that their second appointment that I end up meeting them. And even with that many ops and assistants going, I still spend about 80% of my time in the day in my private office. It's nice to be able to delegate.
Yes.
Wow.
He said the magic word, Vicki.
Delegate.
I love it.
So, Kent, are you still, what is the classes that you're teaching now? Are you still doing restless days and sleepless?
Yep. Wasted days and sleepless nights. Coined that way back in when Bruce and I were getting together on this. I don't know what year that was.
DOSA and DASA. I think that was like 2006. One of our very first, oh man, I'm about to bring up something I should not bring up.
Oh, the chili cook-off?
Oh, I knew. You still haven't forgiven me, huh?
All right. No. I'm not going to forgive you, but we need to leave that alone or I'll probably end up leaving this interview.
I know. We're going to leave that alone, but it was in one of the very first Blue Skies.
Right. So
had the whole conference was about sleep apnea, and you more than anyone, it was like something inside you ignited, passion really ignited, and you took off with it. And you were one of the early formers of DOSA and DASA, which is kind of the precursors to, these boards that you're on right now.
Yeah, it's interesting the way this all started. I started actually making appliances about 25 years ago, but it was just little dabbling here and there, not doing much, and I was still doing a lot of dentistry. But then I was able to answer a lot of questions on forums, and I always seem to know a little bit more than the next person. So at some point they said, why don't you, a friend of mine out in California, Bill Dome, asked if I could come out and teach in his facility. And I said, well, I've never taught a sleep course. Why not? So I created a course at that point and started, I just taught one course out there and then just kind of, mushroomed after that. And I started teaching more and more places. Well, the more you teach something, the more you focus on it in your practice. Right. So at one point I said, you know what, I'm really kind of getting tired of dentistry, drill and fill and all the stuff that went along with that. And patients not wanting to see me. I have a fragile ego and thin skin, and I wasn't used to that. And so I said, you know what, I think I'm going to do something that I really enjoy doing. I'm going to start focusing more on just saving lives and marriages. And it just kind of went from there. And I said, in 2 years, I set a goal. 2 years, I'm going to no longer be doing dentistry. And so I started talking to my hygiene patients about it. And within 6 months, I was done. So a 2-year goal turned into 6 months.
That's incredible.
That's what we call fortitude. Wow.
For all of our listeners too, I want to let you know when Kent says, I just got tired of doing dentistry. I want to be really clear here. You didn't have a PPO clinic. You had probably the first aesthetic boutique all the bells and whistles practices in the nation. You know, you had a very high-end, beautiful practice. Your general dental practice is what people strive for, correct?
Yeah, we did a really good job building it up, and I brought on a partner who's been fantastic, and he's built it up even more. And we have an associate. We have 21 operatories now and 8 hygienists, and we still blow and go here in the dental part. I just don't do any of the dental part. But yeah, it's a very nice practice. I'm very proud of what we've built over the years.
I love that. I love that. So it's been great to watch your evolution. So we had Magna Dasani, which I know she's worked with you, and now she's doing a bit of teaching in sleep apnea.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
She's one of your pupils, and is another light that's burning out here. And she gave us, you know, some of her 1, 2, 3s of, you know, I take all these classes, but it didn't really workflow in my practice. So she really loves, you know, how do you workflow this into your busy general practice schedule? What I'd love to know from you is, what are some of the absolute don'ts? If you're out there and you kind of got one foot in sleep apnea and one foot not, and maybe I'm making an appliance here or there and you're dabbling, like when does that get dangerous? When do you just have to put a stake in the ground and say, I'm committing more? Do you know what I'm asking here?
Yeah, I do. Sure.
Because she's speaking about me.
No.
Because I get asked this kind of question a lot. And so one of the first things I usually say is, if you want to start making this a larger part of your practice and start to grow it, you have to have one assistant that is dedicated only to sleep. When doctors try to just piecemeal it and have it in different operatories and different assistants getting involved, it just doesn't work well. You have to have one assistant that takes it on as her or his responsibility to grow the sleep practice. And they become owners in that part of the practice. And when they do that, it really starts to grow. So that, I think, is probably the most important thing, other than, as you mentioned, figuring out the medical billing part of it. And that's where most doctors struggle with this, because it's nothing like they've ever done before.
Well, tell me about your medical billing company, because I know you, and you're not going to do anything halfway. So how did you figure that out?
Well, that came along through. It's hard to describe exactly what started it, but all I can tell you is that at one point I myself was paying a billing company about $60,000 a year, and I said, you know, I could easily hire somebody to do all my own billing for that amount of money. So I hired someone, and she could do all of my billing in about a day. And she said, well, why don't we just start helping other doctors? And I said, well, you know, that makes sense. Why don't we start doing that? And it's just been, we've done zero marketing for it, and it's grown over the last 5 years to over 400. I think we're getting close to 500 doctors that we're helping. So it's really been a great resource for a lot of doctors out there that really struggle with this. Now, I do encourage everyone, and there's other good billing companies out there. There really are. I can name 2 others that I really respect. It's nice to be able to get with a billing company at first. If you get really good at what you're doing and you learn exactly what is needed, you can take it back on your own if you've got somebody that can spend a lot of time on the phone.
Right.
But at first, to learn everything you need to know, it really helps to be with a billing company.
Can I ask a question on that? Do you what company, or do you have a website for that?
Yeah, that's Bradybillingcom.
Okay. And then do you also bill more than sleep medicine? Do you do other medical billing with that company?
Not a whole lot. We do TMD and a few other ancillary services, but nothing like, we don't do perio and surgery, things like that. But
or like trauma-induced, dental implant treatment plans? No. Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have any resources or clues on how to get better reimbursement for CBD, the 3D cone beam radiographs and things that aren't being covered on dental side?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We can get coverage. It depends. I could get really detailed about this, but we can get coverage. You can piecemeal the CT scan into 4, 5, 6 pieces and bill it separately, in which case you don't have to pre-auth except maybe one of those codes, or you can globally bill it as one code, in which case you typically do have to pre-auth it. The problem is most doctors, they want to take a CT scan early on in treatment, and there's not really time to get it pre-authed.
So is this also something that's taught at your 21stscenturysleepseminars.com curriculum?
Yeah, it's called the retreat. There's 3 different parts of that. There are the retreats that are the 2-day intro sleep seminars. And at that, I do have a billing person from Brady there. She speaks for about an hour and a half. It's the manager. It's Megan. She speaks for about an hour and a half and answers all the questions and makes sure that everyone feels comfortable billing if they want to on their own. And then there's the round table that we were having our 9th annual round table in 2019, and that's where all the doctors come back. And we have speakers that come in, and we've had Bruce Baird came last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that now. We're meeting monthly, trying to get all that put together. And then there's also billing seminars. So Brady Billing is doing billing seminars around the United States. They'll be in San Diego in January, and New York a few months later, and Dallas. So there are 3 different parts of 21stcenturysleepseminars.com. Those are the 3 prongs, I should say.
Gotcha.
Love it.
Cool.
Love it. So let me ask you this. Talk to me about your dental practice. Are you fee-for-service, full insurance, a blended model? How does that go? And how does sleep work into that? If you were a doctor who wanted to decrease the impact of PPOs and increase revenues and all of that, how does sleep medicine play in?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Our 21st Century Dental is all fee-for-service. We don't belong to any PPOs, so I'm not really good at telling people how to get out of PPOs because we've never joined any. But I know that most doctors probably are, and in medicine, it's beneficial if you can get in-network. It's completely different from dental. You're going to actually be able to make more in sleep medicine if you can get in network with some of the medical insurance companies. And it's going to depend on where you practice. If you practice in a large city, you're going to have somebody that will not allow you to get what we call the gap exception. So you won't be able to get any in-network benefits, and you've got to stay out of network where deductibles are getting pretty large. Mm-hmm. In these smaller cities, outlying areas, if there's not anyone in network within, say, a 30-mile radius, then you get a gap exception for any patient that will allow you then to get in network with that patient.
This is going to be perfect for Chad. There's nothing but pig farmers in a 30-mile radius of him. So.
Oh, he's got it made.
Easy.
Don't you own Iowa, Chad?
Right.
You think you do? You get the hometown advantage up there.
We don't have just pigs. We also have soy and corn. Thank you.
Oh, that's right. Well,
yeah, I taught Stephanie Mohan's group up there about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She's been doing really well with this.
I'm hoping to have her on this podcast sometime in this next year. So listeners, stay tuned.
She's great.
Yeah.
Everyone should just start bombing Stephanie's inbox and get on the podcast.
I just need to quit being lazy and just ask her. She'll do it.
She'll do it. Yeah.
Another great PDA alumni.
Yep.
Yeah. So Kent, take us on your journey. Like, I met you, I won't forget that. Remember, in the American Airlines Training Center, our humble beginnings, and you were sitting there reading the newspaper and just kind of came in and sat down and said hi, and we had breakfast, and that has kicked off, a decades-long admiration for you. So what have been some of your highlights along the way? You were also an instructor for 6 Month Smiles. I mean, gosh, is there anything you have? You're a terrific marketer. You've had so many favorite things. Give us some of the highlight reel.
Well, yeah, I back when I was still doing dentistry, I had an assistant that came to me, and we hired her as a dental assistant, and she came from an orthodontic office. She had been doing ortho for 4 years, and she said, hey, Dr. Smith, you think you'll ever place brackets? And I said, no, that's what orthodontists do. So then Ryan Swain with 6 Month Smiles came to town, and she said, hey, let's go to his course. So we went to the course, and because I had an assistant who was very versed in ortho, wasn't scared to move teeth, she said, hey, I think we can do this. And I said, all right, Esther, if you're really on board with this, let's do it. So we started doing it, and we started doing so much of it that then Ryan asked me to start teaching seminars for them. And so I to this day, I still teach 6 Month Smile seminars, but I lost Esther because she was so good that 6 Month Smiles hired her away. And now they are using her as the sort of the clinical expert. When doctors have problems, they call and she'll talk them off the ledge.
Wow, that's amazing. So what's the key? We'd love to talk about everyday simple practices. You're one of the most productive people I've ever met. What are some of your, break it down for us. How are you so productive?
Well, I really think it's all about the delegation. There are so many doctors that are just scared to death to delegate. Some of it also is letting go of your ego, because if you hold on to that ego that nobody can suck spit as well as I can, you're going to have a hard time delegating. And I think a lot of dentists struggle with that. They don't think anyone can do dentistry as well as they can. It allowed me to hand over the majority of all of my dental patients in a very short order to either my associate or my partner, because I know that they can both do good dentistry, and it's not going to bother me at all to have them take over my patients. And dentists struggle with that.
Right.
So a lot of it is about just letting go of your ego, trusting your team to do the work. You teach them what to do, and you monitor it, of course, not micromanage, but monitor it. Of course, as I said, with my accounting degree, I've got 37 spreadsheets I'm looking at, and actually there's more than that, but I thought I was exaggerating, but now that I think about it, I'm not. There are
now you're talking romance. I love it.
a lot of spreadsheets. I have the same spreadsheet that I started back in '85 when I started in dentistry. It's been building since then. That's just a single spreadsheet, but if you watch the numbers, and if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going to go, and you just got to always set goals. We've never had a down year at 21st Century Dental since 1985. We've had up years every single year. So if you don't have that goal, it's easy to plateau.
Right. And you gave us two real great pieces of technology in PDA. You gave us the formula for grab bag, which is still going on, and people love it.
Yeah, I still get requests. About once a week, somebody will send me an email saying, hey, I read about your grab bag, and I'll send an article I wrote 12 years ago, and I'll say, if you have questions, let me know. So yeah, we still do it here.
Where did you publish that article?
I think it was in Dental Practice, let's see.
Dental Economics, maybe?
I think Dental Economics had one of them. I can't, one article I published in Dental Economics might have been when we first went the whole cosmetic. We had a nurse here that was doing Botox all the way down to Brazilians, you name it. We did everything here. And so the spa, I think it was some kind of a spa practice article in Dental Economics 10 or 15 years ago. But I've done, radio articles. We adopted using radios in the office about 15 years ago, and we've been doing those ever since. Most of the things that we started, we're still doing.
That's right.
Very
you
cool.
Out morning huddles and went to the earbuds and radios.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember the title of that article, but yeah, we did that many years ago.
And you know what? The greatest piece of leadership that I think I've ever gained from you, I believe I got this from you, is you stuck a punching bag in the middle of the staff table and with your picture on it.
I can't believe you remember that. How long ago was that?
I don't know. We've got some changes going on. I know change is a little frustrating, so I'm volunteering to be the punching bag on this. Here's my picture. Come take it out on me. And we're moving forward.
Right.
What did that picture look like at the end of the day? I don't want to ask at the end of the week.
Yeah, they had to keep taping it back. Yeah, when we initiate change in the office, and I am an agent for change. I love change. I am always changing and trying to grow. And yes, anytime you do this, you can't sit back and say, hey, team, can I have your permission to change? You've got to initiate the change, and you just say, this is what we'll be doing. Of course, you take their feedback and their help in moving forward, but once you decide to make a change, you don't back up and say, well, my team didn't like it, so we just decided not to do that. I've heard that very often.
Yeah, when I hear that, I actually do a surgical procedure on doctors, and we replace their wishbone, like, oh, I wish my staff would do this, and give them a backbone. So
nice.
I like that.
She's given me that a couple times.
I know. You've got a lot of wishbone.
I bend. Hey, you know what? Before time runs out, I want to know, Dr. Kent, on everyday practices, we like talking about life in general, not just on the dentistry side, and we haven't got there. So how do you find balance in your life with family, with work, with what kind of fun stuff do you like doing, and how do you find time to make sure that you're not just a boring maxillofaciologist dentist with sleep apnea and such?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I do think that's extremely important. Our family likes to scuba dive, and my wife and I go. We take the family. We're always planning dive trips. That's our number one favorite thing to do. And when you're down there under the water, 80 to 100 feet, it's like nothing else. For those that have never dived, it's just impossible to know the feeling that you get when you're down there. I wouldn't describe it as an escape, more as a way to see some things that very few other people will see. And that's really our favorite thing to do. And it's fortunate that my wife and I both love doing the same things.
That is cool.
Yeah. So that's probably the number one thing we do. But with my 4 daughters, I've enjoyed doing a lot of things with them over the years. I'm about to lose my last one. We already have 3 grandkids, so we enjoy spending some time with them when we can. They live out in San Diego now, so that's a little more difficult. But I do think it's important when you have a partner in the practice too that you spend some time outside the practice together. And we have season tickets to the Dallas Mavericks here, and it's something that we enjoy doing. And I get away a lot during Maverick season, but then my wife and I have season tickets to the Texas Rangers. She loves baseball. So we go to about 60 or 80 games every year in baseball. So a lot of it's just getting out to sporting events when we can't be diving.
I think, Kent, you were one of my inspirations for diving, and I now love that.
Oh, that's great to hear, Vicki.
Yeah.
Kent, where's your couple favorite dive spots?
You cannot beat Fiji. The problem is it's so hard to get there. It's about a 23-hour flight, so it's a little expensive to get there. But anywhere in the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos, actually, if you look at the top, if you Google best diving places in the world, it's usually in the top 3 on any list you'll find out there. So Turks and Caicos is where I would say would be the best place. If you're a novice diver, maybe Grand Cayman, Cozumel with drift diving is a lot of fun as well. So we like to stay in the Caribbean when we can't go to Fiji.
Okay. Wow. That's cool stuff. I don't even dive. I snooba'd this last year for the first time. It was tough enough for me to get to 15 feet. And you finally get used to it. So when you said 80 or 100 feet, that sounds cool. It's not a turnoff. It's outside of my realm of normal. And man, it sounds so interesting. I want to give it a go.
Yeah, you need to. I think you'll love it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Vicki, do you have any other questions for him?
Oh, I just have one more question for you, Kent.
Oh, yes.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Chad.
No, you know what? I always steal the honors from you. Go ahead.
Okay, you have to choose bacon or eggs.
Bacon or eggs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going bacon all day long.
Bacon.
Yes, we love it. Well, Kent, thank you for your time today. You brought so much valuable content. You are such a gift to our industry, and we thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Vicki and Chad. I appreciate the honor. I hope if anyone wants any more information, they want to contact me. I'm really good at email. I'm not good with phone calls or anything else, but certainly they can email me at info@sleepdallas.com. That comes straight to me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.